Folks, wow, hasn't the budget increased? We've got graphics and we've got music. Clearly, I'm getting a bit bored, aren't I? So I'm going to have to experiment with this. Welcome to Game Week 3's review. We're going to start this week by just taking a look at some of the transfers that's happened that will affect some of us in fantasy football since the last game week. We can see that Gonzalo Montiel has signed for Nottingham Forest. He's a World Cup winner. I think that's Forest's 9,000th signing since they rejoined the Premier League. Emerick Laporte, which I don't think any of us had, has joined the Saudi Arabian team Al Nasser. I think that was for a fee of something like 16 billion. Jeremy Doku has joined from Rennes to Manchester City. Doku is a big player in FIFA and Football Manager world. Insane pace as a winger. Be very interesting to see what he does. Will he be another Leroy Sané? You never know. Let's see what else has happened in terms of a few transfers in the Premier League. Chelsea have signed another goalkeeper. Kieran Tierney has left Arsenal and gone to Real Sociedad on loan. Cameron Archer has joined Sheffield United. He's a striker from Aston Villa for 18 million. I think he was at Middlesbrough last season. Did very, very well there. It'll be interesting to see if that develops, because goodness knows that Sheffield United actually need some players. Beto, he scored in midweek in the EFL Cup for Everton. Apparently that's a £30 million deal. He's gone from Udinese to Everton. Timothy Castagna, he was a favourite in fantasy football. He's back in the Premier League with Fulham. Jed Spencer's left Tottenham, so that might be one of our bargain buyers disappearing. Florian Balogun has left Arsenal and joined Monaco. Arsenal refusing to sell him to another Premier League team. Romelu Lukaku has joined Roma on loan from Chelsea. Let's have another little look, and latest ones today. Dean Henderson has joined Crystal Palace from Manchester United. Wolves have got a new defender, Santiago Bueno from Girona, and a few things which might happen in the next day, because they have to happen in the next day. I think the deadline is tomorrow. Ansu Fati from Barcelona could be going to Brighton. That's an interesting one. Never thought I'd read that. Anyhow, that's the transfers. Let's take a little look at what happened in our game week in the main league this week. Well, game week 3, and at the top of the table we'll start Mr. Consistency, Tom. He did very, very well, 75 points. He had a great team. He had the team that we all envied at one point. Matty Cash only scored a hat-trick. He only managed to score 2. He could have got a clean sheet. That would have been that would have added more to it. Chilwell of Chelsea, Bruno Fernandes, Diaby of Aston Villa, Jackson. He got some goals, basically. So well done to you, Tom. The actual manager of the week this week, so I was going in order of the table as it currently stands. We had Darren with 80 points. That's very familiar. Again, he's got cash, but he also got 2 assists from Gusto from Chelsea. Who the heck is he? I haven't even looked into him. I've given up with how many players Chelsea have signed, so it's unsurprising. They've probably signed me and I haven't realised it. Salah, Rashford, Saka, Fernandes, Haaland, Chilwell, Cash, Gusto. He did okay. Both players, interestingly, Darren and Tom, had Unana. And no points for Unana this time round after their travesty against Nottingham Forest. Just about escaped with that one in Fergie time, didn't they? Let's take another little look at some of the other players this week. Stephen fell away a little bit the Lasso way. Sorry, Stephen. Another Unana. Good calls from Rodrigo and Maddison. Watkins and Rashford, but let down by single-digit points from Dunk with 1, Saliba with 1, Estupiñán with 1, Mbeumo with 2, and Onana with 0. That is not going to get you anywhere near the top, Stephen. So maybe having to have a little rethink. Our dark horse, Graham Woods, he's down in 4th place. He had 56 points this week, made 2 transfers. Again, another champion of the Chilwells. Like a lot of us, blank with Estupiñán with 1, but had Rashford, Saka, Fernandes as well there. So slightly annoyingly, he had 12 points Udogie on the bench for Tottenham. He's a dark horse, Udogie. Be interested to see how many more managers pick up him. 5th place, we have Megan, 46 points this week. Flecken, she's joined the Flecken gang. That was my call as well. And again, Some very similar players, Saka, Rashford, Salah, doing okay. We were all basically let down for the fact that Haaland really didn't do anything again this week, apart from miss a penalty and score a goal. You know, if only any of us could actually do that, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? Swinyard, impossible, 54 points. They had a Diuzu, I have no idea how you pronounce it. He's one of the ones who I will say many times this season, oh, I nearly had him. And I nearly did have him this week, but there we go. Good choice of captaining Saka this week. That gets away from Haaland. In fact, there is no Haaland in Mrs. Swinyard's team. One of the ones bucking the trend and doing all right this week as a result on it. Unana's in pyjamas. Yes, we panicked. We played our wild card. I played it in game week 2 last year and finished 4th. So I thought game week 3, I might finish 3rd this season. That's my theory of it. Luca Digne and James Ward-Prowse, guys that I've gone for there. And Flecken and Watkins and Saka did well. But again, let down with Saliba, Estupiñán, Matoma, Visa, and Haaland not really doing anything. Thankfully, though, Bailey stayed off the bench and didn't get me any points, so that was very, very good. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. I'm staying with the Haaland clan. Just behind me, Dad, a couple of points behind me, 37 points this week. Again, Unana in that team. Low point scores from Almiron, Matoma, McAllister, Walker, Estupiñán, Unana. That's 6 players. Saliba, 7 players. Not really getting anything. High scores of Saka and Haaland with 8 each. We go and we take a look at Richard Scott Sounds, made a transfer this week. I see Richard Maddison, a big fan of the Maddison man, former Leicester man, got 10 points there for him. But again, when no one's picking up a lot of points from that team, Richard, at the moment, unfortunately. Reed Error 404, Martin's team. Again, he's got Haaland, but rumour has it, as Martin's announced, he's probably going to ditch Haaland. Gross was a good call this week, but tough week. 0 points from Trippier, Perisic, 2 points from Pickford, Martinelli, 3 from Jensen, 2 from Isaac, 2 from Solanke. Gross and Desai really helping him out this week. It could have been a poor week for him. Pop down sunny days. It's not looking too sunny at the moment, is it, Andy? Son, just the 3 points from him. Matoma, Bell of Luton Town making your starting lineup. Yeah, much the same story as everyone else. A lot of us relying on Haaland and then getting let down when he doesn't do anything. Mike, 45 points this week, currently in 12th. Alison Becker, the goalkeeper, getting 5 points. A little pick there. And Darwin Núñez as well. So you had a very good end of Sunday, wasn't it, with that frenetic game against Newcastle United. You were cheering that one on. Cherry played wildcard as well, got 47 points, 1 more point than me. Romario of Tottenham Hotspur, and captaining Saka. Good choice. Has got Haaland in the team, but captain Saka. Absolutely sublime choice. I say it's a sublime choice. Cherry didn't realise she did it, but you know, sometimes these happy mistakes are great mistakes to make. Carroll's in 14th with 46 points. Had the fantastic Anderson, 11 points for Crystal Palace. Had the unfortunate of Virgil van Dijk of -2. And then we have 2 points from Edison, nothing from Trippier, Konsa, Isaac, Haaland, all letting her down a little bit. So a very promising week with Darwin, Gross, Anderson. Could have been so much more. Oh, you had 8-point Kilman on the bench. Oh, bad luck there, Carol, sorry. Dropping down to 15th, Crispin, with the second lowest score of the season so far, 25 points. Wild card played, Crispin. I didn't spot that when I was doing the points tallies earlier. Oh dear. Basaka, Varane, Dunk, Barnes, McAllister, March, Mbuemo, Edison and Visa. 2 points or less. In fact, the only players to score more than 2 points for you were your vice-captain Salah and your captain Haaland. At least you picked the right people to captain, but oh dear. Oh, you had Awioni on the bench and Desai as well. Awioni's done something ridiculous, like scored in his past 7 games now for Nottingham Forest. You can bet your bottom dollar as soon as you pick him, he's not going to score. And finally, at the bottom, the experiment with the youngsters of the Premier League. I'm not doing too badly, I suppose. Morgan Gibbs-White, 16 points for the kids, but they are now lacking in a few players. Rico Lewis, Mudryk and Jones not playing, House not getting a game, Archer not getting a game. Gordon for Newcastle getting 10 points, so that was a good call by the kids. Anyway, that concludes the roundup for game week 3 from the league. I'll take a look at the Champions League next. So here we are, the KSI Champions League. Remember, that's the top 4 sides from last season, which is champion Darren. We have Megan, we have Pete and myself. And it was pretty one-sided between Darren and Megan this week. 80 points, plays 46. And Pete beat me in the end easily-ish, 54 points to 46. What that means in the standings is that both Darren, Megan and Pete are all on 6 points. After 3 games, I've yet to get a single point. But I'm not too far off on the point score at the moment. But yeah, Darren is leading the way. It'll be interesting to see how this continues to develop. But replicating the league form in the KSI Champions League. Sad face for me. As we look at the Europa Conference League, this was a voluntary league for some managers to get into. And it was guys who did not finish in the top 4 last season. We have Crispin, we have Tom, we have the Toddlers, we have Stephen, and we have Martin in this one. Well, Crispin couldn't beat the average score this week, who was his opponent. Tom smashed it against the Toddlers. That's a little unfair, Uncle Tom, really, isn't it? Be having words with you later. Happy birthday to Tom, by the way. We have Stephen, who narrowly beat Martin. So as we look at the standings, Tom, 3 wins out of 3, top of the table in the Conference League. Stephen with 6 points, and then it's 3 points apiece for Martin, for Crispin, and for the Toddlers. So again, that's interesting to see how it's reflecting at the moment. Really, in the league table is reflected here in the Conference League. It would be interesting to see how that continues as the weeks develop. But at the moment, Tom leading the way. Well done, Tom. And the last thing to look at is the KSI Fantasy Draft League. 4 of our managers, myself included, along with Martin, Darren and Carol, are in the Draft League, where you are only allowed to own one player once. So, for example, if I own Haaland, which I do, no one else can own him. So it's kind of like a version of real life. And you pick your players in rotation. If you follow American sports, the draft system is how fantasy football works in this. There's no captains or anything like that. It's just straight shootout, and we're playing fixtures against each other each week. Thus far, what have we had? Well, as we look, those are the scores so far, but as we look at the standings, Carol is top of the table at the moment. So this is where we have different teams to what we have in the other KSI League. So Carol, congratulations to you. You have the lowest points tally in the Fantasy Draft League, and you are top of the table by 2 points in it. So that is with the KSI team that she has. In it, Darwin it. Darren is very good with his Liverpool names. He is with 1 win, 1 draw, 1 loss with 4 points, as is Martin with the Golden Age, and finally Backdraft FC have won 1, which is my team, and lost 2. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes on. We'll take a little look. You can just see an example. My team, a little bit similar to the team I've currently got. I've got a Saka and a Matoma and a Haaland and a Visa. And it'll be interesting to see. I avoided Virgil this week, which is good. I've also got Rasmus Højlund in my team, thinking that he might do something when he eventually makes his debut for Man United. So that'll be interesting to see. We will just keep everyone abreast of the draft and see how it goes as the season commences. But so far, Carol is leading. Well done, Carol. And finally, we'll focus back on the main KSI League, and we will celebrate our winners and our losers this week. So congratulations to Darren with 80 points this week. You are the manager of the week with Haven't Jot a Clue. That is the second time Darren has scored 80 points. That is the joint top score as well. As we look at the overall scores, Darren has scored 80 points twice in game week 1 and game week 3. Megan also scored 80 points in game week 1. This is feeling a bit ominous now, actually. We were thinking that after the second week, when Darren hit 39, we might get away with it. But Darren's looking strong again. So it's up to everyone else to try and knock him off. But at the moment, it is, of course, Tom at the top of the table. Yeah, Tom will be very wary of what Darren can do. It's interesting to note, in terms of the points this week, that the second highest score was 75. That came from Tom Hansen. And then the third highest score was 56. So Tom and Darren were 20, 25 sort of points ahead of everyone else. That's a little concerning to have such a huge gap, actually. I'm just actually going to take a little look and actually just see where that actually put the guys in terms of their actual position. So Darren, you were actually the 26,000th best team out of, I think it's something like 11 million. You were 26,000 this week. That's very good. The highest points was 128 points. That was someone played their triple captain, and someone triple captain Sterling. It's not a crazy one, but they had Vicario, Digne, Adoji, Gusto, Sterling, Kuzeski, Haaland, Jackson, Saka, Foden. But that triple captain of Sterling with 57 did very well. So you can see occasionally you get those crazy scores. But yeah, Darren, 26,000th in the entire world. That's quite good. Tom, you were 58,000th in the entire world. We of course have to look at the bottom end of the table. Sad to say, sorry, Crispin. You were 9 millionth in the world. So a little bit behind the boys. So you do win the wooden spoon this week. I'm very sorry to say, Crispin. Wooden spoon for you. Darren's got 2 manager weeks so far. As I said, Stephen's got 1. Highest scores so far, as I said, it's Megan, Darren and Darren with 80 points. Graham, Martin with 78. Alan and Tom with 76. Myself and Tom again with 75, and then it starts to drop off a little bit. Low scores, Martin, Crispin and the kids have all finished and got a wooden spoon each. Thus far, Martin is leading the way with the lowest game week score thus far, 17 points. That'll be interesting to see. That could be right up there or right down there when it gets to the end of the season. We'll sign off now. Don't forget, is there another game? Is there another game this week? Let's have a little look. Folks, tomorrow, 6:30 is the deadline, your final game week before an international break, and then we can all sit back and go, why is Eddie Nketiah and Jordan Henderson in the England team? We're not sure. How does Harry Maguire get there? We don't know. So do try and enjoy your international football this week. I will see you during that break for the Game Week 4 review. Cheers. Folks, you join me lying down for the bonus feature that I, of course, when looking at the points, I realised that's the end of August. Just 3 game weeks in August and we have our first manager of the month. And it is, of course, how our table looks overall at the moment. So congratulations. In third place, Stephen Hingston with 147. No, I've put 47 points. I've got that totally wrong. I'll update that with 183 points. 183 points. We'll type that in live. Stephen Hingston, well done. Darren Burns, 199 points in second place. But in first place, it is the birthday lad this month, Tom Hanson. Congratulations, 208 points. You are August's manager of the month.